Hey, what's going on guys? Evan from Model 3D. Today's video is going to be the full in-depth review of my Peopoly Moai SLA 3D printer. If you haven't already watched the build of this, then click the video up here and you can see the full build of it, the full ins and outs of how I assembled it, unboxed it, all that kind of stuff. But today's video is going to be really in-depth, talking about exactly how it looks, how it works, how it functions. So full disclosure from the start, Mark from Peopoly sent me this printer to review, to check out, to show you guys what I could do with it, and to give my honest feedback and honest opinion. I wasn't paid to give it a good review, I was just given the machine in return for an honest opinion and constructive criticism towards the company to help them better the machine, better the instructions, anything like that. So first up, I want to talk about my initial impressions. As soon as I got this built, the whole building process was really enjoyable. I've built only one other 3D printer before, which was my Anycubic Cossel Delta, and that was a few day process. Obviously it was my first, so it could have been a bit quicker, and I was videoing it, but it was still a few day process. The Moai took me about 6 hours, and that was while stopping to set up every shot and do all the videoing for that. This was also before all the instructions got a total revamp. My instructions were a bit hazy in areas, but I relayed my issues back to Mark from Peopoly. He's redone all that, and he's still working closely with the community to help better it and help make it easier to build. First of all, it was quite a large machine. It was a lot bigger than I was expecting, especially since I'm used to the D7, which is a tiny baby printer. The build volume on this is 130 by 130 by 200 millimeters, which is the same as the Form 1 Plus. After I built it, I noticed that there was a lot of empty space. It seemed like the bottom of the galvo, or the bottom of the system, was really far away from where the top of the vat or the resin vat started. I later found out that this is due to the amount of space needed for the laser to travel in order to get a really fine point. This has a 70 micron laser point, which is absolutely tiny. This results in really high quality prints. I've printed almost everything exclusively at 50 microns. I haven't had to go lower, but the settings will allow to go up to 10 microns, which is insane. I don't think I'll ever find a purpose for that. I printed a tiny little signet ring for a friend with really like fine detail, 1/4 millimeter thick, and I printed that at 25 microns, came out great. In terms of settings, the machine uses G-code, which is produced by Kira. At the moment, there's not a simplified 3D profile for it. There's a few issues that need to be resolved, but I know a few people are working on that. But at the moment, it's using Kira, and it actually works great. It's really simple. You don't have to modify your settings at all. You've got 3 different profiles. You've got fine, extra fine, or super fine, I think it is, which is essentially 100 micron, 50 micron, and 25 micron. Like I said, I've only used the 25 micron once or twice for tiny little things. 50 is really sharp, really great. So it's a case of getting your file, hollowing it out in Mesh Mixer if need be, adding your support. I use B9 Creator like on my video up here, and then you import it into Kira, select your profile, export it, and that's it. Stick it on the SD card and away you go. One of the main issues I find with the machine is that the SD card kind of can be a little bit weird, as I've had some issues where it was reading other files, or it wouldn't read the file at all. It was coming halfway down and then just stopping, or anything like that. But Mark from Peopoly is working really hard with his team on this to get this resolved, but the fix or the workaround is just to simply format your card every time. Really simple. You're going to put your print on anyway. Just format it, make sure there's not a load of files on it, and away you go, ready to print. One thing I really like about this machine is Peopoly have given a lot of their files over to their GitHub, like their VATs that they're using, information you need like that. Too many companies nowadays are too locked down. This is our machine, you can't touch it, you can't open it, you can't do what you want to it. This has a lot of space, like I said, as long as you're not modifying the space needed for the galvo to get high resolution. You can do whatever you want to it, add cameras into it, mounts, anything you want. In terms of modifying, I found that the key on the door didn't actually work that great. I didn't want to lock it and unlock it every time, so I created a little modification for it. I modeled up this simple little clip that pushes into the element extrusion. It's just press fit, no glue needed. I printed down an FDM machine, pushed it in. It's got a little magnet. The magnet holds against the screws on the inside of the door handle, so there's no modifications at all needed. It's totally reversible if you want to. If you sell your printer, there's nothing that you need to drill or cut out or anything like that, so that works really well. A lot of people ask me about the smell of resin, and with this machine, even though it has no kind of rubber gasket or rubber seal around the door, with the door closed, it's completely like scentless. I can't smell anything until I open the door, and even then the resin itself is a very, very low odor resin. I've used Monocure, I've used Maker Juice, I've used One House resin. I've got a lot of other resins up there, but this one just seems to be the lowest odor out of them all. You could have it in a conservatory, you could have it in a utility room, and you wouldn't have to worry about it smelling at the house, which is a really good thing. And if you really wanted to be extra careful, you could just stick a nice rubber gasket around that door, make sure it's got a really nice airtight seal, and you'd have no issues at all. So before we get on to what I've printed, I want to talk about price point. This machine is $1,200 or £1,200 in the UK. But one thing that really impressed me with this machine is the price point on everything. The resin I absolutely love, is one of the best resins I've ever used out of everything I've done before, and it is about £70 per, or $70 US per litre, which is a bargain. Other companies who I'm not going to name can charge extortionate prices, even for just generic plain grey or blue or any other colour you want. This is actually available. It comes in 2 bottles, 2 500ml bottles, and I know that Spannerhands sells this as singular bottles, so you can buy 500ml at a time, which is really useful. I haven't used any other branded resin at the moment. I've got a lot to test that I'm going to be trying in the next few weeks, but I just wanted to give my full review with the machine and their branded resin. Also vats or consumables. The PDMS acrylic vat, they're only about $35 or £35, which is an absolute steal. I know Formlabs charge a lot more for their vats, so it's not too much of a worry having one vat for each colour. You don't have to kind of break the bank. You can order, every time you order a new colour, just order a new vat. You can have a few spares, and it's a decent price. The vats last, it suggested about 4 litres of resin. My PDMS peeled away from me at about just over 2 litres of resin, but I was hollowing everything out, so I got a lot more prints out of it than I would have if I was printing them as solid. So it works out about the same 2 litres of hollowed parts or 4 litres of solid, so it lasts ages. I got about 25 to 27 prints out of it, both large, small, full build plates, all that kind of stuff, so I was really impressed with that. I was happy with how long it lasted. I was happy with the quality of the prints all the way up until the end. The very first print I did was this little ring. This was a test file that came with the printer, already G-code, easy to just click print and test, and I was blown away. I've had other resin printers in the past, and this just, I was really impressed with how it came out. It's got lettering, it's got all the holes in the top. I'll do a close-up photo, but really happy with that. The colour of the resin is really nice. So once I printed that, I knew that my build plate was level and I was ready to go. I wanted to try something a bit more complex. I wanted to try something a bit bigger and something with a lot more detail in it. This is printed at about 50mm, and it absolutely blew me away. I couldn't be happy with it. This was while I was still learning on how to add support or where support needed to be. So it's got a tiny little bit of curling on the back where I missed it. I printed it at 45 degrees, but the detail is absolutely outstanding. Like I said, the resin has a very matte feel to it, so you don't have kind of glossiness taken away from trying to get good photos of it or anything like that. It's really nice to photograph. So I've done a few commissions. I'll have photos pop up here, such as the wrapper heads. I did the Biggie Smalls, I did 2-pack, and I did Easy E. They came out absolutely astonishing. Easy's hat was a super thin, 0.5 millimeter thick. I took a few supports against the eyes and it was perfect. Really happy with how it came out. I got contacted by a few people that were interested in buying the machine, asking if I can do a test print of what they wanted to use the machine for. One of them was a dentist that wanted to use it for printing dental replacements, or dental molds I think they're called. I added the supports and I decided to leave them on to show how I orientated it. Thinking about it now, I could have done it vertically. I know it's really good for filling the build plate if you print them vertically, but this was printed at 45 degrees and it came out absolutely amazing. All the depth in the teeth, everything like that. There's no Z-lines. One thing this printer really surprises me with is that you can't see the Z-lines or the actual striations of the print. Even when looking close up with a macro lens, it's more of a kind of carbon fiber kind of crossed over look, which really shocked me. I'm used to kind of striations of 3D prints. So it works really well. I'm not sure what the laser's doing. I don't know my technology in terms of how these lasers work, but it's really good. As you can see on the close-up here, it's got that kind of carbon fiber mishmash kind of crossed over look. So really impressed me. The guy that I did this for was super impressed, and he actually purchased the machine due to seeing this print, which is awesome. I'm glad I can help people out. I also got contacted by a friend that was also interested in buying this printer for model making. So he created a Edward Scissorhands sculpt, and he had the hand, which was obviously all the scissors or the blades or the handles or like that, really small. And he was having issues printing this in FDM, and he wanted to see what this printer could do. He wanted to see if it actually print what he needed it for. This was basically a stress test. The blades are, some of them are 1/2 mil thick, so they're really flexible, really bendy. So it was a really good test on the Moai to see if it was capable of this fine detail all the way up these points. There's no Z-wobble in them. I haven't sanded this, I've just cut straight off the supports and washed it, and it came out absolutely beautiful. This resin is really nice. It's like a translucent blue, and like I said, with the grey, it's got this lovely matte feel to it. Here it is again. This is the Spannerhands spanner bot. If you want to see these close-up photos of all these prints, I will have a link down in the description. They were the prints that kind of really made me decide, yeah, this is the printer I need. This is the printer I'm going to be using for work. This is the printer that I can rely on. So I'm really happy to say that I absolutely adore this printer. It's super quiet, so I can run it all night. There's no fans on the board. There's no fans on any of the machine. There's just the peel motor or the PM motor, which is what you can hear. So you hear that at every layer peel, and it just peels down, comes back up. It takes about a second or two, and that's it. My print room is right next to my daughter's bedroom. She has no issues. She doesn't wake up at night. She doesn't complain about the noise or anything like that because it's absolutely silent, so that's a huge bonus for me. So hopefully I've covered everything you want to know. I've answered any questions that you wanted me to answer. If you want to purchase this printer, like I said, there's 3 places you can buy it. If you're in the UK, you can go over to spannerhands.co.uk. You can order direct at peopoly.net, obviously, and you can order at matterhackers.com. I will have affiliate links down in the description if you want to use them. You don't have to, don't feel like you need to. It really helps out the channel if you want to. But like I said, I will also have normal links, direct links straight to the website that you can order straight through there if you don't want to use them. But other than that, feel free to PM me on Twitter, Instagram, anything like that. Any questions you have, I'm happy to help. I will have more videos on how to replenish the PDMS on the machine. I will have videos on how to clean your prints, post-processing, or stuff like that. And other than that, I hope you liked the video. Please make sure to click the like button if you did. It shows me what content is liked on my channel. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. Maybe the bell if you really want to get those notifications. So other than that, hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.